my daughter was, and that was my Saul to Paul moment kind of. And I was like, I'm gonna go home and do anything I can not to risk my freedom to provide for this child. Like, I had a good father, I wanna be a good father.
Jelly Roll is one of those stars you just can't ignore. With his larger-than-life personality, powerful music, and unforgettable past, he's become a voice for people who've faced real struggles. But behind all that fame, there's another story, one that not many talk about. His daughter. She's grown up in the shadows of fame, pain, and pressure. Life wasn't easy for her. From bullying to family drama, she went through it all. But now, she's all grown up. And believe it or not, she's even bigger than her dad. In more ways than one. Join us as we take a closer look at Jelly Roll's daughter and how she stepped into her own spotlight. But let's start with her dad first. Jelly Roll, from Antioch to stardom. Jelly Roll wasn't always a big music star. His real name is Jason Bradley DeFord. He was born on December 4th, 1984, and grew up in Antioch, a neighborhood in Nashville, Tennessee. His childhood was tough. His father sold meat for a living and also worked as a bookie on the side. His mother had serious struggles with addiction and mental illness. At just 14, Jelly Roll was baptized. But that same year, he also got arrested. He said, "The same year that I got baptized, I got arrested." And that marked the beginning of a long road of troubles. Over the next 10 years, he went in and out of jail. He was charged with serious crimes, including drug-related felonies and aggravated robbery. But even in prison, Jelly Roll didn't stop trying. He got his GED at 23 and slowly started to build a different life. His story didn't end behind bars. Instead, it was the beginning of a whole new journey that would change everything for him, and later on, for his family too. Jelly Roll's music career started in 2003. He was influenced by Southern hip-hop legends like 3-6 Mafia, UGK, and 8 Ball and MJG. He began by selling mixtapes straight out of his car. His first project was called The Plain Schmear Tape. Then came the Gamblin' on the White Boy series, which he released between 2004 and 2011. One of his big early moments came when he worked with Memphis rapper Lil White. Their 2010 song Pop Another Pill went viral, getting over 6 million views on YouTube. That success led to an album with a group called Snow. Jelly Roll kept pushing forward, working with artists like Haystack, Tech N9 and Struggle Jennings. His 2013 mixtape Whiskey, Weed, and Women got him into some legal trouble when Waffle House complained about their name being used in the title and cover. So Jelly Roll changed the name, and even stamped the new cover with cease and desist in place of the logo. He didn't let anything stop him. In 2021, he made his debut at the Grand Ole Opry. A year later, country singer Craig Morgan invited him on stage to perform Almost Home. In 2022, he hit #1 on rock radio with Dead Man Walking. But it was his country hit Son of a Sinner that really launched him into the spotlight. That song won 3 CMT Music Awards in 2023. By 2023 and 2024, Jelly Roll had become one of the most talked-about artists in both country and rock music. With songs like Need a Favor and albums like Whitsit Chapel and Beautifully Broken. But there's more to Jelly Roll than just music, and this is where it gets even more personal. A future that looks very different. Jelly Roll's career has taken some unexpected turns. In 2024, he testified before Congress about fentanyl abuse. He spoke from experience, showing lawmakers what it means to take responsibility and try to make a difference. He was even sued that same year by a wedding band also named Jelly Roll, but they settled it out of court. He starred in a drama series with Sylvester Stallone called Tulsa King, appeared in Rebel Country, and performed alongside Snoop Dogg and The Roots on Saturday Night Live. In 2025, he collaborated with Brandon Lake on Hard Fought Hallelujah, and the song went on to win Song of the Year at the K-Love Awards. He was also featured on Shabuzi's song Amen. And guess what? He didn't stop there. Jelly Roll even recorded a track for Sonic the Hedgehog 3, which came with a special music video. But even with all that fame, his daughter remains close to his heart. Her journey, growing up under his shadow, dealing with his past, and now standing strong, is a story that hits deep. It's more than just being the daughter of a star. It's about becoming something powerful in her own right. So let's take a closer look at that. Family life and a daughter in the spotlight. You see, behind all the fame and success, Jelly Roll is a family man. He's been married to his wife, Bunny XO, since 2016. In 2023, they even renewed their vows, showing the world how strong their bond really is. But before Bunny, Jelly Roll had already become a father. He has 2 children, a daughter and a son named Noah Buddy DeFord. He and Bunny now have full custody of his daughter. Jelly Roll has always been open about his past mistakes and how much his children motivate him to stay on the right path. He once said in a U.S. Senate hearing, "I was a part of the problem. I am here now, standing as a man that wants to be a part of the solution." That's the kind of honesty that defines who he is now. Not just an artist, but a father trying to do better. His daughter grew up while he was still figuring out his life. That wasn't easy for her. Living with the weight of her father's past, public life, and struggles wasn't something any child should face. But she stood tall, even through the pain. And now people can't help but notice how much she looks like her father. In fact, she's even bigger than him in presence and spirit. The day everything changed. Jelly Roll has never hidden the pain of his past. He was raised in a troubled home, surrounded by addiction and heartbreak. And as a young man, he followed the same dark path. He started using drugs at just 14 and was in and out of jail for years. He got arrested for drug dealing, robbery, and other serious crimes. He admits he was lost. But then came the moment that changed everything. In 2008, Jelly Roll was 23 years old and behind bars again. One day during lockdown, a prison guard knocked on his cell door. He said, "DeFord, you had a kid today." Jelly Roll was shocked. He didn't even know he was going to be a father. The guard didn't even know the baby's name. That moment hit him hard. He later told Billboard, "I've never had nothing in life that urged me in the moment to know that I had to do something different." It was the beginning of a turning point in his life. That baby girl was named Bailey Ann DeFord. She was born on May 22, 2008. Though he was irritated at first, that feeling quickly turned into something deeper. Her birth lit a fire in him. Jelly Roll knew he couldn't live like that anymore. He had to do better for her. He stayed in prison for a little longer, but during that time, he earned his GED and started planning a new future. When he finally got out, he met Bailey for the first time just before her 2nd birthday. That day, he grilled hamburgers and hot dogs for her. And from that moment on, he tried his best to be there for her, no matter what. Bailey Ann's troubled early life. Bailey Ann's life didn't begin with comfort. She was born while her father was in prison, and her mother, Felicia Beckwith, had her own battles with addiction. As Bailey grew older, she watched her mom slowly disappear into that addiction. During an episode of her stepmother Bunny XO's podcast, Dumb Blonde, Bailey opened up about how things changed when she was still very young. "Kindergarten year, I guess, is when it started to decline with Mom," she said. By the time she was in 1st grade, she felt like her mom was already gone. In a 2020 Instagram post, Bailey explained how her mother seemed to choose drugs over her. She shared her heartbreak, even though she was still so young at the time. Jelly Roll also spoke about how painful that time was. He tried to help Bailey understand her mother's behavior without scaring her. He said, "I've always been honest. Bailey was different, my oldest, because of what her mother was dealing with. I was trying to describe what addiction was to an 8-year-old without using words like addiction or drugs." He knew she was too young to fully understand, but he wanted to be honest. Jelly Roll also talked about the pain of watching Bailey cry and not being able to take her pain away. "I've had to hold that kid crying. It hurts," he said. He admitted that addiction changes people. He believed that it had changed Felicia Beckwith, her mother, into someone unrecognizable. Through all this, Jelly Roll stayed by Bailey's side. He promised to be present for her, to protect her, and to do better than the generations before him. In his words, "Being a father is so important to me, and just being as present as I can for her." His love for Bailey became the most powerful reason for his recovery and success. A childhood full of burdens. As Bailey got older, life at home only became more difficult. Her mother, Felicia Beckwith, entered a relationship with another woman who also struggled with addiction. The situation at home quickly became dangerous and unhealthy. Bailey talked about this painful time on Bunny XO's podcast. She said that her mom stopped taking her to school. The house they lived in was in terrible condition. Bailey called it horrendous and said it still gives her nightmares. At just 7 years old, Bailey became the one holding the household together. She cooked, she cleaned, she took care of her 2 younger cousins, acting more like a mother than a child. She didn't have a proper bed. Instead, she chose to sleep in a chair so her cousins didn't have to sleep on the floor. She carried more responsibility than most adults. Bailey remembered how things got worse when she turned 8. "They weren't like being able to pay the bills because they're spending all their money on drugs," she said. The lights would go out. The water would stop running. They didn't pay rent because they owned the house, but it didn't matter. Basic needs were no longer being met. Jelly Roll and his wife Bunny XO tried to help. They sent money to Beckwith so the bills could be paid, but time after time, the money disappeared. It wasn't spent on the kids, it was spent on drugs. Bailey was left to suffer in silence. She was a child raising other children, in a home where the adults were no longer able to care for her. Bailey's early life was filled with pain, but she never gave up. She faced abandonment, neglect, and trauma, yet she kept going. That strength didn't come from nowhere. It came from Jelly Roll, who had once lost his way, but found a reason to live when he became her father. He often compares his turning point to a moment from the Bible. "I compare it to the Christian scripture of when Saul turned into Paul on the Damascus road," he said. That was the moment he knew his life had to change, and he stuck to that promise. He cleaned up. He took control of his life. He worked harder than ever to build a career in music and to become a father his daughter could count on. Jelly Roll now uses his story to help others. He said, "I've heard everything from, 'Your music was played at my daughter's funeral. She had an accidental overdose,' to 'Your song helped me get through rehab.' His music is raw and honest because it comes from real pain, his and Bailey's. From broken trust to a new home." Bailey Ann DeFord went through a lot at a young age. Her birth mother, Felicia Beckwith, struggled with addiction for years. Because of that, Bailey ended up losing contact with her father, Jelly Roll. On the Dumb Blonde podcast, Bailey shared that her mom made her believe Jelly Roll was a bad person. She grew up thinking he didn't care, but things got worse as the years went on. The neglect Bailey faced became impossible to ignore. That's when Jelly Roll and his wife Bunny XO knew they had to step in. They started working on getting full custody of Bailey. At the time, Jelly Roll was scared. He told the New York Times, "I know her mother's a piece of expletive. Her mother's family isn't able to raise this child. My family's not able to raise this child. I've got to figure this out." Even though he was unsure of himself as a parent, he knew he had to try. Luckily, Bunny helped guide him through it all. Jelly Roll admitted, "I would have never got custody of my daughter without her. I wouldn't have had the stability or the money. Bunny was the reason it all came together." Thanks to her support, Bailey moved in with them and began a new chapter of her life. But even though she was in a safer place, the damage from her past still lingered, and it showed up in painful ways. Addiction, heartbreak, and a cry for help. After Bailey moved in with Jelly Roll and Bunny, she lost contact with her mother. For a while, she didn't know where Beckwith was. Later, she found out her mom had gone to jail. When Bailey turned 12, Beckwith came back and tried to reconnect. But instead of rebuilding trust, things got worse. Bailey said on the Dumb Blonde podcast, "When I'm actually doing half decent, she's like, 'What can I fit up in her head?'" At 14, Bailey started spending more time with her mother. That's when her mother gave her weed. Bailey began smoking it regularly. It didn't stop there. Her mom also gave her harder drugs and alcohol. Bailey said, "Nobody knew, except my mother, who manipulated and convinced me to do drugs." On Christmas, her mom even gave her bags of drugs as gifts. Things kept spiraling. Eventually, Beckwith left again without a word. That was the breaking point. Bailey knew something had to change. She wanted to get better. In 2024, Jelly Roll shared his fears with Congress while speaking about the opioid crisis. He said, "Every single day, I have to wonder if today will be the day that I have to tell my daughter that her mother became a part of a national statistic." His family's fight with addiction had gone from generation to generation, and now it was affecting his own daughter. But Bailey wasn't just dealing with addiction. She was also fighting something even darker: darkness, recovery, and health scares. Bailey Ann has struggled with deep emotional pain since she was a child. She started having suicidal thoughts when she was only 7 or 8 years old. As a teenager, her girlfriend attempted suicide. That moment triggered a heavy spiral. Around that same time, her mother showed up to visit her on her birthday. Bailey said it pushed her deeper into a dark place. On Dumb Blonde, she opened up about it. "Then that sends me even worse into this pit I was in. I did some things, I said some things, and had a really terrible, terrible summer, and like it got dark. That darkness led her to attempt suicide. Her stepmother, Bunny, and her father acted quickly to get her help. Bunny explained that the pain Bailey felt came from years of trauma. Bailey herself said, "It's crazy that you even knew that it was that deep-rooted because you didn't know what it was deep-rooted in. It was like, well, there's some childhood *****, but I mean, obviously there has to be more." At one point, Bailey had to have a serious talk with herself. She knew she had two options: change or destroy herself. She chose to heal. She now tells other kids who have been through pain or abuse not to lose hope. But healing doesn't always come easy. In July 2024, Bailey and her stepmom were both hospitalized. It was Bunny's second trip to the hospital that week. In a TikTok video, they were seen together in a hospital room. Bunny wrote, "When you've been to the hospital 3 times, once for her, twice for me." She later shared that she had a spider bite, low blood sugar, and had a scare about an aneurysm. But she didn't say why Bailey was in the hospital. Around this time, Bailey also stopped posting on TikTok and Instagram. Since 2023, she's kept away from social media. Some think it might be due to her health, but nothing has been confirmed. What's clear is that she's been through more than most people her age, and she's still standing. Bullies, body image, and a broken heart. Bailey Ann DeFord has always been honest about how she sees herself. At just 10 years old, she shared her biggest insecurities in a 2019 Instagram post. She said her teeth and her body were things she struggled with the most. She wrote, "One of my goals for this year and always is to be a better person and also to love myself more." But her journey to self-love hasn't been easy. Over the years, she became a target for online bullies. Trolls made fun of her weight and looks, which made her insecurities even worse. Her stepmother, Bunny XO, quickly stepped in to defend her. In 2024, Bunny posted a video on TikTok calling out someone who body-shamed Bailey. She reminded people that many who deal with weight problems are also suffering from eating disorders. Speaking directly to the troll, she said, "So for you to even come on my page and say something about my underage daughter's body shows the type of human you are. And I just hope you have the day that you deserve and the life you deserve because people like you don't make it far in life." Bailey's dad, Jelly Roll, also gave her advice on how to deal with cruel people online. In one Instagram post, Bailey thanked him and wrote, "You have been by my side when nobody else could or would." Her family stood by her, but the emotional pain from bullying and a tough past ran deeper than most people could see. A fight against depression and a voice for others. Just like her father, Bailey Ann has struggled with depression and anxiety. Jelly Roll once told The Guardian that he sees himself as a broken man trying to heal. His daughter has said similar things about herself. On the Dumb Blonde podcast, Bailey talked about her depression and anger issues. Her stepmother Bunny said the anger likely came from all the trauma Bailey faced growing up. By age 14, Bailey was already deeply depressed. She had lost many important people in her life and didn't know how to move forward. At that point, she joined a mental health program that helped her start healing. She said, "It's like, I'm 14 years old. I have lost all of my relationships with people. Maybe I should get it together." And I did for a while. In 2020, she shared how much Bunny had helped her through it all. "She has held my hand through anxiety, cried with me in sad times, smiled with me when I am glad, and celebrated with me at big events," Bailey wrote on Instagram. Later on the podcast, Bailey talked about how she wants to help other teens who are also struggling with their mental health. "The mental health crisis with teenagers right now is disgusting," she said, "and it makes me want to do everything in my power I can." Today, she lives with her father and Bunny, who were given full custody in 2017 after her mother's drug use became too dangerous. Even now, Bailey is working through everything she's been through. "As a teenager, I've moved on. I've worked through my childhood, but that doesn't make it go away. It made me who I am today," she said in the Hulu documentary Jelly Roll, Save Me. A final goodbye to her mother. Bailey's relationship with her birth mother, Felicia Beckwith, has always been complicated. For years, Bailey wanted to fix things, but by 2024, things had changed. On the Dumb Blonde podcast, Bailey shared that her mom had relapsed again. That's when Bailey made a hard decision. She decided to cut off all contact. She said, I'm very, very strict on my stance on it. She is, frankly, I believe my mother is soulless. Her father, Jelly Roll, also spoke about how hard it is to forgive Beckwith. In an interview with the New York Times, he said, "Sometimes I am way less forgiving with her. I have to catch myself when I have those human emotions. After so many times, you get to a point where you're like, man, is it the drugs or is it the person?" A family friend told Life and Style that Jelly Roll believes in second chances. But when it comes to Felicia, Bailey's safety must come first. Jelly's all about second chances, and he believes Felicia can turn her life around and be a part of Bailey's life again, the source said. But for now, Bailey's safety and well-being come first. After everything Bailey had been through, trauma, neglect, addiction, she realized she had to protect herself. And sadly, that meant saying goodbye to her mother for good. Despite all the pain, Bailey has found something that brings her peace: music. Just like her dad, she turned to songwriting as a way to heal. Bailey's musical career. When she was only 10 years old, she wrote a song called "Tears Could Talk." It was featured on Jelly Roll's album, A Beautiful Disaster. She even appeared in the music video and later joined her dad on stage during his Backroad Baptism tour. At one show in Georgia, Jelly Roll introduced Bailey by thanking the fans. "Not only have y'all changed my life, you've changed her life in ways that we can't even describe," he said. In April 2024, he brought her on stage again, this time to celebrate her birthday. She was just days away from turning 16. "I figured it would be a really cool dad way to embarrass her if I can do the old happy birthday to you," he joked. He then added, "I took my daughter out of school today, and I flew her to California for this show. Don't tell her teacher." A year later, in April 2025, Jelly Roll got emotional again as he sent Bailey off to prom. She wore a yellow dress and left with her date while Bunny captured the moment on TikTok. We did it, guys. We made prom happen," Bunny said with pride. Today, Bailey's not only dreaming about music but also planning her future. In a podcast episode, she revealed she wants to study law, specifically criminal defense, at Columbia Law School. "It's wild, to be honest, and I think that's part of the reason I'm so invested in it," she said. "Because if I was going into medicine, I would have done medicine. And I hate the medical field. I hate Western medicine. I hate the way that we handle health and health insurance and everything. And I couldn't. There was no getting into that for me." From trauma to dreams, from pain to purpose, Bailey Ann DeFord is now writing her own story. And it's one full of strength, growth, and a future that's just beginning. A quiet life, a loving bond. Jelly Roll's son, Noah Buddy Deford, was born on August 23, 2016. Unlike his daughter Bailey Ann, who is often seen with him at events and on stage, Noah has been kept more private. Jelly Roll made a simple birth announcement on Facebook, but since then, he has rarely spoken about his son in interviews. Fans didn't get a full glimpse of Noah until 2023, just before his 7th birthday. In a TikTok video posted by Bunny XO, Noah shyly introduced himself. He smiled and said, "My name is Noah, and my favorite color is red." In the same video, he shared a few more fun facts. He said he loves Pokemon and soccer. He also said he wants both a dog and a cat for pets. And in a sweet, funny moment, he said he thinks his big sister Bailey is cooler than their famous dad. Bunny XO, who is married to Jelly Roll, made it clear in the comments that she had permission from Noah's mom before posting the video. Jelly Roll also talked a little about Noah during an interview with Taste of Country in August 2023. He said Noah is very much part of the family and even joins them on vacations, but they always try to keep social media posts away from him, out of respect for Noah and his mom, Melissa. Jelly Roll explained, "With Bailey, I'm the full-time parent. With Noah, I never want to step on her toes with what she's doing with him." While Jelly Roll doesn't talk much about Noah publicly, it's clear he deeply respects the co-parenting relationship. And while fans know Jelly Roll for his big presence, it turns out his daughter Bailey is now even taller than him. As Bailey grows older, people are noticing how much she resembles her father, not just in appearance, but in her spirit, her strength, her fight. The world may know Jelly Roll as a successful artist now, but at home, he's just a father trying to make sure his daughter never feels alone again. And his daughter continues to inspire him, as he once said, with positive changes in his life. What part of Bailey Ann's journey touched your heart the most? And do you think Jelly Roll's story shows how powerful second chances can be? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to hit like, Subscribe and stay tuned for more incredible stories from Hollywood's fascinating history. See you next time.